Please welcome your sketch artist, Hannah Laughlin.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Animation Academy here at the International Festival of the Arts at Epcot. My name is Hannah Laughlin, and I am super excited to be the artist helping you out today. So before we jump in and get started, just a little bit about me. As I said, my name is Hannah Laughlin, and I am a creative concept artist and illustrator for Disney Live Entertainment here at Walt Disney World. So that means that I get to work on all the concept art, illustration, fine art that goes into bringing our shows to life. I also partner a lot with Walt Disney Imagineering, so for the last couple years I've been working a lot on the resort artwork. One of my most favorite recent projects was getting to do all the artwork for the Mary Poppins room retheming at the Grand Floridian Resort. So Mary Poppins is my favorite character, so that was definitely a dream project for me. With all that being said, who's excited to draw? Yes, okay, that was even better than the last class. And out of curiosity, did anybody join for the 12:30 session? Wow, okay, like I got a whole crew over here, that's awesome. You guys will be pros, and if it's your first time in an animation class, welcome. One thing you may notice is there's something a little bit unique about the pencils. They are missing something. An eraser, yes. So my biggest tip for success, I tell all my classes, is to start very, very lightly. Because without an eraser, you can always add more, but you can't take away. So you can always go back and darken your favorite lines, but start super light and that will help you out. So with that being said, you should have a clipboard, a piece of paper on there, as well as a pencil. But if you're missing anything, just go ahead and let one of the cast members know and they will be able to help you out. So for the character we're going to be drawing today, we're going to be doing a little purple dragon who actually made his debut here at Epcot, and you can still find him at Journey into Imagination. Does anybody know who this is? Figment, yes, you're the first one, Figment. Awesome, and if you're not familiar, if you somehow missed him, this is Figment. So this is what our drawing is going to look like today. He is super cute, super happy to be here. You've probably seen him around. So we are ready to jump in and get started. So we are going to start with how a lot of our drawings start, which is a circle. And we're going to actually be doing two circles. So this first one we're going to put in the upper half. It's going to be followed by a second circle, so just keep that in mind. So I'm going to start, again, really lightly. Even I will probably darken it just a little bit, just so you guys can see well. Can you guys see that okay? Yeah. Awesome, so I'm even gonna go a little bit darker, but be sure to keep it nice and light, so light that maybe you can see it super well, but your neighbor can't see it. That's about how light we're gonna be going. And, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. The first shapes that we're gonna be doing are really just blocking in basic shapes and their guidelines. So this final circle, all the lines aren't gonna make it into our final drawing. It's just to help give us building blocks, which is what a lot of artists do as they're building and designing characters. So for the next shape, we are going to do another circle. This is about the size of a baseball, so we'll add another one about the same size right below it. So it kind of looks like a little bit of like a Venn diagram. Kind of the compare and contrast, making good use of those thinking maps. Right. And after you have those two circles about baseball size overlapping, we're going to go ahead and add a shape that is very fitting for Figment because he's such a lovable character. We're going to add kind of a heart shape. So it's going to start on the left-hand side from where the two circles overlap, and it's going to come all the way down and kind of tuck underneath the chin. Well, what's going to become the chin? It's going to be right underneath this circle. So this first side is the left-hand side of the heart, and then we're doing a very symmetrical version of Figment's face, so whatever we do to the left-hand side, we're going to mirror on the right. So we're going to do that left-hand side of the heart, and then followed by the right-hand side. So it's two circles and a heart overlapping onto those two circles. Next up, I'm going to add what we call a center line. So again, this isn't a line that makes it to the final drawing. It's just one that we use to kind of as a guideline as we add all the additional elements. And this is going to be a line right down the center of everything we've done so far. And most characters are going to have a center line. It helps you kind of establish which way a character is looking. You even use this when you're drawing people like real life portraits to help you know where everything should go. And next up, because Figment is looking straight at us, his nose is going to be right in the middle of his face. And so for kind of a base building block for that, I'm going to add another circle that's inside this bottom circle. So it can overlap onto the top one a little bit, but it's going to fill up a lot of this space. Just going to be a basic circle. And you guys may have noticed as I'm going, I don't just draw a circle one time. I kind of do it a lot of times over and over and over again. We're only human, right? We're not computers. We can't draw a perfect circle. So just do your best. And sometimes it helps to do circles over and over again. And then at the end, you can go back and darken your favorite one. A lot of artists do that. We call it finding the line. All right, so we're building these kind of basic shapes. Next, we're going to start to establish our outline for Figment's face. So to do that, I'm going to start at the left-hand side where the top of that heart is, and just do a little bit of a curved line that connects to that circle. So this is going to be the side of Figment's face next to his eyes up top. And this is a little bit of a curved line. You can kind of think of it, you know, straight or a little bit more like a parentheses. We're going to do the same thing on the right-hand side. And next up, I like to block in the basic shape of Figment's eyes. So his eyes are ovals. If you want to just keep it really basic, they're a little bit egg-shaped, which means they're a little bit more narrow at the top and the bottom. But overall, we're just going to be doing two ovals. They're nice and big. He's very bright, wide-eyed. So they're going to be in this top circle to the left of the center line and to the right of the center line. And they're going to kind of rest, maybe overlap just a little bit onto this bottom circle. So I'll show you that. We're going to be doing an oval on one side and an oval on the other. You can even have them kind of tilted, maybe leaning just slightly towards each other. But as long as you do two nice oval shapes at the top, it's going to look good. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Just have fun with it. Do a couple ovals. All right. And I think we're ready to start working on some of his other features now that we have a lot blocked in. I'm going to go ahead and block in the pupils just so that we know where he is looking, and we'll come back and add some details to that later. You can really, with characters, have them looking whichever direction you want. You just want to make sure that the pupils are consistent with each other, unless you're doing like the Cheshire Cat or something, that it can get a little kooky, but for the most part, you want them kind of together. So I'm going to be adding a little bit of an oval, almost like he's looking at his nose straight at us, and then one on the right-hand side. So one on the left, one on the right. These are just two oval shapes. They're going to be touching that first oval that we drew. Otherwise, Figment might look a little nervous if he has too much whites of his eyes. We're going to be doing two ovals. And you'll notice as we go, a lot of the same shapes are repeated over and over again. Character artists do that to create cohesion and just harmony within a character. Also, you'll notice there's a lot of like soft curves. So even where Figment has horns that we're going to be doing later on, you can see the edges aren't super sharp. They're just nice and soft. So we'll go ahead and block those in next. We're going to start at the top, and there's going to be a triangle shape. If it helps you, you can kind of do the triangle first and then go back. And when I say soften it, I just mean instead of coming to a really sharp point at the top, it's a little bit more of a curve. So it's like a curved triangle. And if you're curious how far off to make it, it's going to come about to the edge of Figment's cheek. So that's on the left-hand side. Nice curved triangle at the top. And then to make the horn, we're going to do another similar shape right underneath. But this one is going to come to a point on the left-hand side and get a little wider on the right. So I'll show you what I mean, it'll make sense. So we're doing the same shape, but it's going to start a little bit further down on Figment and then come to this kind of curved point right here. That's going to be one of his horns. And whatever we do to the left-hand side, we're going to do to the right-hand side, but I'll give you a moment to add that in. And on the right-hand side, it's going to be the same thing. So it's really interesting. Some of those curved lines help us know that it's a nice and lovable, he's a really happy, approachable dragon. If you look at someone like Maleficent, you're going to see a lot more straight lines, sharp angles, things like that. So it's just kind of a cool thing that animators and illustrators do to show different personality traits about a character. So we're going to add that same line right underneath. So we did that curved triangle at the top and another curved triangle underneath. Again, this one comes to a point and then kind of ends above the eyes up here. Okay, now Figment loves to laugh, and seeing things like that, I think it's about time that we give him a little bit of a mouth. So to start this, I like to start with what we call an S curve. I'm gonna go ahead and draw it to the side. If you guys drew orange bird with me earlier, you'll be pros at this. If not, I'll just break it down. And this is just gonna be a practice one. You can practice if you want, or if you don't want anything to the side, you can just watch my example. But an S curve, instead of just being a regular S, is gonna start with a really shallow rainbow shape, and then it's gonna go into a shallow U shape. You can also think about it like the first half of an infinity sign if you draw your infinity signs that way. And this is gonna be where Figment's mouth starts, kind of hugs into his cheek. So right in the middle of this little heart curve, I'm gonna do that first rainbow shape, and followed by that really shallow U shape. So it's gonna be that S curve. And as we go, we're still drawing really lightly, but if there is a line that you feel really confident in, you're really happy about, as you go, you can darken as you go along if you want to. Just keep in mind, we'll have a little bit of time at the end too to go back and darken all our favorite lines. And on the right-hand side, I'm gonna do the same thing, but because it's mirrored, I'm gonna begin on the inside with that shallow U shape, and then I'm gonna go into that rainbow shape. So that's the S curve on the right-hand side. And we need a point to bring the smile to. So I'm going to give Figment a little bit of a nose. Let's start with the nostrils. The nostrils are actually pretty straightforward. They're just teardrop shapes. So if you've ever drawn like a water droplet, a raindrop, something like that, right underneath the left eye, where this circle kind of crosses over, or somewhere in here, your lines might look a little bit different than mine, but just find a good spot on the left-hand side of this middle circle. We're gonna do a raindrop. That's gonna be his nostril. And we'll do the same thing on the right-hand side. Find a spot kind of equal from that center line, maybe where it crosses over that line. I'm gonna do another raindrop. So 2 little raindrop shapes. And the nostrils have almost a little bit of a hood to them. So all that means is we're gonna basically do a little line, kind of like a half circle, or again, that kind of rainbow shape we've been using lots over and over. We are going to surround that raindrop shape with that kind of upside down bowl. And again, keeping things symmetrical, we're gonna add that to the right-hand side. How's everybody feeling so far? Good. I heard very minimal groans, so I'll take it. All right, so we added that on the right-hand side. And now's a time where you can go back and start to darken some of your favorite lines for the nose. So this circle, the top of the circle, I'm gonna go ahead and darken because I know that's gonna be the top of my nose. The only part of the circle that's gonna be a little bit different is he's kind of got a little bit of, I don't know if you'd call it a beak, but his nose kind of comes to a little bit of a point where it opens for the mouth. So it's kind of like a shallow U shape right here that comes up a little bit higher on the edges. You can also think about it as a really curved V. So right at the bottom of the circle, you can go ahead and add that in. It's almost like the little mouth of like a little turtle, something like that. And then you can finish by darkening the lines on both sides. So that's going to be really the last step of our nose. So just to recap, we did our 2 nostril shapes with the teardrop, kind of did a little bit of a hood for them, and then made this soft V down at the bottom, and darkened the lines around it. All right, and now that we have the nose established, we can go back and revisit those cheek lines that we did, and have a curved line that starts from the middle of this and comes down to the middle of the circle. So it's kind of like a parentheses shape, or just like a curved line, and then it's gonna be reversed on the right-hand side. So just curved lines from the middle of the S curve that come down to meet that nose shape. It's a really big smile. Figment's always so happy. And then for the mouth itself, I like to do an open mouth, so I'm gonna do that same shape. You guys will be pros at it because we just did it for the edge of the nose. We're gonna do the same thing, but start kind of next outside. Do a big shape right underneath. If it helps, you can do one side and then the other, or you could even do this U down here first and then connect it to the sides, whatever's easiest for you. just to make this nice big mouth shape. We're basically taking the same shape we did for the edge of the nose and making it a little bit bigger right underneath. And if you want, you can even put a little bit of a tongue in there. So to do that, you would just do 2 parentheses shapes, kind of facing downwards, or that same kind of shallow rainbow that we've been getting so good at. And now we're getting about ready to kind of go back and add some just final details. One detail, I like to start at the top and kind of finesse and darken my outline if you haven't done that already. So just like there's hoods to the nostrils, there's also going to be hoods above the eye shape. So you just find where the edge of the circle is, and instead of being a perfect circle, there's a little bit of a curve, kind of like that same rainbow shape on both sides, just to kind of help frame in his eyes. And then you can darken that circle, the top of the circle in the middle. So now's a good time, like I said, to kind of go back, start to darken your favorite lines, the cheeks especially. And spend some time darkening that. And then when you get to the bottom, if your heart is still really pointy like mine, again, we're not looking for any pointy or sharp edges. We're gonna just soften it by making it more of like a U shape. And you can follow that same line that you used for the mouth down there. And then when it comes to darkening the outline, you can go ahead and go back and darken some of that heart shape. Now's the perfect time. If there's anything you kind of wanted to tweak about that outline, you can do a darker line that fixes it a little bit. And Figment's head is floating just a little bit, so it looks like we have a couple minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in a little bit of a neck to Figment's. So for his neck, in terms of the width, you're gonna start about how wide his mouth is. So if it helps you to do a little tick mark, you can, or just kind of eyeball it. And there's just a curved line that comes out from about that point on both sides. So think about it like a right and left parentheses. And then you'll do a couple lines inside that, because he kind of has some separate coloring on his neck in the middle. There's a little bit of ribbing happening here too. So for the middle, if you want to add even more dimension, I'm going to add a curved line, that really shallow U shape, the upside down rainbow, and add a couple lines. You can do whatever you have room for. And while I'm doing that, you can go ahead and add a little bit of dimension to the horns as well. So you could just do straight lines, right? But because we want to show that this is a character in real space, it helps if you start where the hood is, give a little gap, and do actually like a curved line. So it's almost going to be like a parentheses that's facing Figment's eyes. So you're going to do a curved line, curved line, curved line. It doesn't have to be an exact number, but you probably have room for maybe 4 or 5 facing this left eye. And then whatever we do on the left, we're going to do on the right. So you can have room for 4 or 5 on the right hand side. And now we pretty much have all the line work done for Figment, so we can go back and start to darken our favorite lines. He's got a little bit of a bridge to his nose, so I'm going to add just an upside down parentheses right here to kind of finalize this area. I also sometimes like to add a little bit of shading to the characters. So one way to really make the character pop and bring it to life is by shading the eyes. And this is a trick you can use for any characters you draw here at Disney or just on your own. It's always nice to give them a little bit of a highlight, a little bit of sparkle in their eye. So you do that by drawing a little tiny oval, and you're going to do it on the same side of the pupil in both eyes. That's a little bit of a sparkle. And then you're going to go through and darken the pupils. And you can either do it one color, or I like to get a little fancy and I do a gradient. So that just means as I'm shading, you shade by just pressing down with your pencil, moving it back and forth. And then as I get lower on the pupil, I gradually lighten the pressure so that it's like a little bit of a gradient, really shiny eye. So it's going to start dark at the top and then come down and lighten. So like I said, just take a moment, go back, darken your favorite lines, double check to see if you're missing anything. Have fun with finalizing it. And then when you do feel ready and to show the world what you did here today, you can go ahead and sign your drawing. So finalize your masterpiece. You can sign it in the bottom right-hand corner. And Hannah Laughlin. Don't buy Hannah Laughlin though, unless you want me to claim it as my own. But feel free to kind of decorate your drawing. You can always add little hearts. Like I said, Figment's very lovable. I put a little star in there. And he is so cute. So hopefully you guys had fun with Figment. If I could, thank you. My favorite part is actually seeing everyone's drawings at the end. So once you feel ready, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to see. If you guys want to hold them up. Oh my goodness, you guys did so good. He is so cute. I love the extra stars and details you added. Good job, you guys. This is so cute. Okay, I'm gonna come over there as well, but are you guys okay if I take a selfie?